This is Lord Thaddeus Cray, and today I'm going to extend a little bit of what I had talked about in my previous video. Giants. Not some cute Disney giant from Jack and the Beanstalk, no. Or something like an ogre like Shrek. No, we're talking about true giants. And I'm not talking about people who have a disease, like Andre the Giant or Paul Wyatt, the Big Show. Those are guys in sports entertainment. Wrestlers, both were or are awesome entertainers and athletes, of course. But the fact is, that type of gigantism is actually detrimental to the human body. It can kill them. It can kill you, point blank, if left unchecked. Look up Paul Wadlow, I believe was the young man's name. That poor kid didn't live very long, but he was massive. But I'm not talking about human giants. I'm talking of true giants, monsters, being so beautiful but terrifying that if you saw one, you'd probably go insane with awe, terror, especially with what they planned on wanting to do to you. Down the hatch is my point, my friend. The Bible mentions them. Supposedly angels, watchers, assigned to watch over us, came down. They loved the women they saw. They're like, oh, hell yeah. And oh, hell yeah. The result of that union was something out of even Freddy Krueger's worst nightmare. Something that basically, oh, they loved us. Make no mistake, they loved us all right on a dinner plate. They corrupted, raped, murdered, devoured everything they saw. Supposedly it was so bad, with the technology they'd inherited from their parents, the angels, the fallen ones, as well as other supernatural powers, they had corrupted everything. Everything they touched. And because of this, they had botched up the gene pool of the planet so bad that God was like, no, I regret this. You all have to die now. And that's exactly what happened. The flood came. Oh, of course, Noah and his family, his sons, and of course their wives and his wife, they were the only ones genetically, for the most part, untouched by the horror in which these monsters had brought upon the planet. And the flood came and wiped most of them, if not all of them, out. This much we know. However, despite the horror in which had been brought upon this planet by these creatures, I don't believe they're gone. Believe me, I still believe firmly that they're still around. And I believe there are experimentations going on and all that. But I'm going to leave that alone. I don't want to be shut down if you get my drift. Moving on from that, I will go ahead and mention certain things. Just according to the legends, mythology. When it comes to giants, there are so many tales of these creatures. I mean, not just English legends or the Abrahamic faith, in which most English countries are familiar with. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about beyond that. We are talking about old European legends, of course, like the Jotnar, ice giants, frost giants, different types of stone giants, also hill giants, fire giants, storm giants, different types of beings that have horrific elemental power, beings of true renown. My point is, people don't have those kind of abilities. Even people who know certain types of magic and different things like that. That's just not, it's something humans just don't normally have. These creatures were beyond human. Very long, of course, supposedly they were immortal. They lived a long time. My point is this. They are not like us. And they do not like us at all. The stories, of course, look in Japan. You have to think about that. Stories of massive oni, demons, devils, that love to eat people. I mean, you probably notice a theme here, right? They think of us as appetizers, and I don't mean that in a good way, okay? I mean, you have a nice-looking woman, or a nice-looking man, someone of the opposite gender or whatever might consider, yeah, they're appetizing. But no, I'm talking about literal appetizing in their eyes. Again, I reiterate that. We are food to them, or worse, pawns in their games. The legends speak on and on about these things, and very few of them are pleasant. Even the Native Americans speak of giants that were red-headed, massive, hungry. They loved to kidnap the women, do horrible things. They would kill and eat the men that tried to stop them. I mean, eventually the tribes joined forces, and actually there were some other giants who joined forces with said tribes, and they wiped most of them out. It had to be done. I mean, obviously, there was even after the flood, there was infighting with these creatures. They fought each other in order for dominance. It's scary stuff. It really is, man. I'm telling you. And just think if any of these creatures survive to this day. There's something to think about. These creatures are very interesting to me. They've always fascinated me. Just because, well, it was during a hard time in my life when I was younger. And to me, it provided a good distraction when I found out really about the types of studies of these creatures, and it actually kind of, I sought to understand. And it also helped me into my explorations into other avenues of paranormal. So pretty much, you already know that my fascination with werewolves started at kind of the rabbit hole I've looked down to since, but also my interest in giants. It just always fascinated me. And yes, I do believe that they did exist at one time, and most likely in some way probably do now. But they're very, very secretive. They have to be. I mean, we damn near wiped them out for good reason. But here's something to think about. Always keep an open mind. Don't ever think that just because you don't see something, it's not there. That's kind of where I'm going with this. Also, if you want to know more about these creatures, feel free to leave something in the comments. I can try to point you in the right direction of where I've studied on these creatures. I don't know a lot. I'm never going to ever say I'm an expert, but I know a few things. And also, I'll tell you the person who actually started it all for me. And it was through a radio interview I heard with him. And that was the man named Steve Quayle. He's pretty much the authority when it comes to giants and monsters such as this, to be honest. Just leave it at that. Look him up. He has a website. He has different books. I mean, a very interesting man. Fascinating. I would advise you to look up, like I said, Mr. Quayle. That's one advantage which you would have in learning about these creatures. Now, I'm not saying he's right or wrong. He just has very interesting theories. Another one is a man named L.A. Marzulli. He's a very interesting gentleman, too. A little more manic than I'm used to, but very interesting fellow. Just leave it at that. And that's really where I'm going to leave it right now. I kind of was a little bit more chaotic in my telling of this time because there's just so much about these creatures that it's really hard to peg down. And honestly, I hope you enjoyed this video. As always, I'm looking for people to have on either show. Of course, the first one is Dogman Cams. That, of course, is all the stuff related to cryptid, Bigfoot, Dogman, things like that. Of course, other types of cryptid types of sightings and encounters. Again, that's the Dogman Cam show with John Bell. He's the one who hosts it. Real easygoing guy. Believe me, if you have a chance to talk with him, he'll get your experience out there, and he'll have an audience for you. Leave it at that. Of course, also, for the other end, for the more paranormal, ghosts, of course, even spiritual things, sort of things like that, that would be Sean Graham. And he hosts Chasing the Truth. Very interesting man as well. I talk to him on a regular basis. He's a pretty cool guy. He'll also make sure that your story is heard. And sometimes he does cryptid as well. My contact information is WesVick, WESVLCK, at dogmancams.com. Feel free to hit me up. That's my email. And believe me, if you want your story heard, I'm the boy to talk to. I'll make sure it gets out there. You guys be safe, be blessed, and take care out there. These are very uncertain times.